Hi, everybody. It's Julian.
I'm Aiden.
We're from the Booyah Kids, and we're here to break down our new song "Wellness" off of our upcoming EP. This is a song that I produced with Emma in the band and Charlie Kilgore, who I do a lot of work for Michelle with. The song started with a backing track Charlie made all by himself, sent it to Emma. Emma wrote the whole top line. Once we realized we wanted it to be a Booyah Kids track, we thought maybe the harmony could be a little bit different to fit more in line with the harmony of the project. So I took Charlie's drums and I laid new synths down on them with the old vocals from Emma. Once we felt pretty happy with that, Emma tracked new vocals and a bunch of synths and overdubs, which you'll see later, and hopefully we can get her to send in a video to talk all about it, as well as Charlie tracked bass and acoustic guitar. So yeah, let me just start right by walking you through the drums. So these drums, at least the basics of the drums, the kick, snare, clap, and hi-hats, were programmed by Charlie. So we can start. I guess we'll start again with that kick drum. So sounds like this. And this one is an ultra beat. This is a drum tracks kick. The drum tracks kick is a very punchy kick. It just sounds great. It always cuts through. And the snare sounds like this. There's like a weird click at the end when you cut out, I guess. And that's the Dr. Bohm snare. I don't know if you guys have samples from Mars, but it's one of their folders, Dr. Bohm. So that's kick and snare. Snare is always layered with a clap. The clap is the Lindrum clap, classic. I don't think there's a better clap sample you can use. And then the hats are, let's see. Okay. So those actually came from a sample pack that me and Charlie made where we took our analog synths and we sampled them. So those hi-hats are the closed hat Juno 6-1. So I kind of made a hi-hat on my Juno 6, we sampled it, and that's what the hi-hat is. So it's like, noise from a Juno 6 filtered with and used with an envelope. Sounds like this. Cool sound. And then of the basic drums that Charlie did, there's also this. And that probably is also, let's see, I can turn that up for a second so you can really hear that. That's like a noise from a Juno 106. So kind of a cloudy atmosphere, kind of brings top end excitement when the chorus hits. And that has, what does that have on it? That has a high pass filter at 300 hertz. And so let's listen to all these original drum tracks together. System overload. I hope that doesn't keep happening. But super punchy, super tight. So what did I add to that? So I guess the first thing in my list that I added was a ride cymbal when the chorus hits. So I guess I'll solo these up. I added this. Sounds like this on its own. I think it just brings more of a kind of a almost like a dirge-like, never-ending, anxiety-inducing groove to the chorus. And that is the Drum Tracks Kits sampler from Samples from Mars, no tune. And then I also added, I think, this kabasa. That thing happening on the upbeats. Just to tried to bring a little more bounce to the drums when the chorus hit. That on its own sounds like this. Sometimes a kabasa is good for doing this because an open hat can get too loud and too intrusive, and sometimes you want the open hat to be playing a different role. Drum track kits, no tune again. Thought it sounded good. So the next element happens in this turnaround. There's like this kind of turnaround at the end of most sections here. You'll hear it. So in terms of songwriting, most songs or hooks right in those last bar or two bars of the chorus usually have this kind of line that wraps up the chorus, if that makes sense. Like a lot of songs have it, just this kind of final line of the chorus that wraps it up. But this song didn't have that. It has some sort of version of that later in the song when you get to this. We're on a journey of wellness. That's kind of this wrapping up line. But in the first chorus, it doesn't have that. And so as the producer here, it was really important to me to try to create some sort of musical event there to really fill that space and keep as much interest as possible. So if the vocal didn't go there, it felt like the instrumental had a moment there. And I tried writing a vocal there. It was terrible. Sorry, I'm coughing. So there are a couple elements here. The first are these two crashes. So if I play those, the drum sounds like this. And for this, I was trying to emulate as if I was playing the drums, and I had these two crash cymbals, one on my left, one on my right. So the first crash is Drum Tracks Kits cymbal. What a surprise. And the second one, let's see what this is. It's a DMX crash. Thought it had a nice kind of low bitrate quality to it. So together. As if I had two different cymbals. What else? Then we've got these toms. Kind of signature to this and Manny have these tom fills, and Patiently has it. Ooh, won't reveal that, but it doesn't matter. And then here. And these I know for a fact are also just the Drum Tracks kits stock. So all together it sounds like this. Pretty cool. But I thought the one thing that was missing was something that's so signature of Charlie, which is these big reverb claps he does. I tried doing a reverb clap myself. It was not at the level. So I said, Charlie, please, might I have the pleasure of you doing your signature reverb clap on here? And so he did. So I'm going to reveal his sauce. Or here, also you can hear it. Sounds like this in solo. Now, what is this? This is it's a Lindrum clap. Seems like the same Lindrum clap, and it has a Abbey Road plates, high damper, plate B. I'm trying to learn from this. I want to get better in my reverb class. So that's all the drums. Pretty simple. Nothing really changes. No crazy programming or anything. Next up are the two basses. So this song has a layered bass. It has this electric bass and then a synth bass that kind of play together. I'll start with the electric bass played by Charlie. This was, I forget what bass, but I know it was played through an Ampex 351. So it's got this verse part. And that goes into this chorus part. So it was important the verse and the chorus parts feel different. And then in the bridge, maybe there's interesting bass playing in the bridge. Nice walk there. And then we have the synth bass. And together, they sound like this. And then in the chorus, they sound like this. And the patch for this is this. Very simple. It's just a saw wave with some filter envelope and normal envelope with some release. I think it's in mono mode. Simple stuff. So yeah, bass and drums then sound like this. I think that's pretty groovy, and that's, I mean, generally, if the bass and drums are groovy, the song will feel groovy, and we worked kind of hard to get the electric bass and the synth bass working together and adding extra stuff to the drums, really making it groovy. So the next element is this saw brass. This is, I think, one of the main elements you might hear when you listen to the song. It's this element. And you can see I played this in because I think this is my first take, and then I just kept it because you can see there are a lot of mistakes. Like right here, I didn't play these notes, didn't play these notes, didn't play these notes, missed that note, missed all those notes. Or maybe that's not a mistake, but this one is alone. And I chose to keep it, if that makes sense, because it'd be very easy to fill in those notes and get the velocity the same. But I wanted it to feel kind of more imperfect, as if I were playing on a real synth, because sometimes if you screw up on a real synth, you won't immediately hear it. And so I wanted to pretend it was almost audio, and I liked that take. Let me just go for it. And that is this sound again on the CS80. Simple stuff. Again, this is like two of the voices of the CS80 panned, not fully evenly, but mixed evenly. So it's kind of creating a slight unison effect. Sounds like this again. I'll play it in the bridge because that's kind of fun. I think bridge is here. Again, you can see I'm including all these mistakes here because I think they add something. Next up is this pad, and you can see I've split it out over 3 sections because in terms of preparation for mixing, sometimes pads can like be in very specific places, and I didn't want the EQ on it to be optimized for one and not the other, so I split it out, even though it's the same sound. So I can just solo them all together. In the pre, it sounds like this. Here's the sound. And then for the chorus, jumping up an octave when the chorus hits. Sorry, I'm coughing so much. So, you know, jumping up when the chorus hits, classic move to bring excitement. Here's the bridge. So if you notice, I'm voicing the chords on the brass and the bridge differently, which I think is a very important thing when you have multiple keyboard parts that are doing the same chords, is making sure that they're doing different voicings. And so slightly different voicings. And so they kind of, the notes kind of, it becomes a little more ambiguous, but you hear the chords. And then here on this bridge, so the saw brass holds up this, it becomes this high-end pedal point. While you hear the bridge pad move down, the saw brass moves down, the pad moves up. It just kind of creates these cool interactions if you kind of find different voicings. So the next element, this ended up getting turned down a fair amount in the mix, but this is one of the main elements. Sounds like this in the chorus. Again, probably just played that first take and quantized it. And here's the sound for that. Cool. And then so these are kind of the main elements of the synths. It's this brass, this pad, and the pluck. And they're all playing different voicings. So. All together. I kind of understand why Chris ended up turning that down. It's not the most unique element. It kind of sounds like blue dabba dee dabba die, you know, that piano thing, like, but not in the best way. Next up are these profits. They're not real profits. It's just this patch, and there are 2 different instances of it, which is just it's a thin square wave, wide open with some decay and release. Simple sound. Again, was very in a rush. And so that kind of works like this in the chorus. Outlining the vocal melody. because I really wanted that vocal melody, that first line to pop through. And then no vocal melody here, so. So I'm using this to kind of accentuate things I really want your ear to follow. So if I play this with everything else, this kind of is telling, it's kind of telling you where the attention's going. I want you to think about that first line of the chorus, and then I want you to really kind of, if there's no vocal, really kind of go into that end of the thing, because I want it to be an instrumental moment. So. Very subtle, but I think it tells the story of like the chorus a little better. In the pre-chorus, and only I guess in the pre-chorus, first pre-chorus, because the second one is a bridge, I guess. Weird structure. They're two parts that interact, and they play this part. And this sounds a little more interesting if you bring in some of these elements. So that's the prophets. I think that's a nice element. I think it brings interest. So the next element is this Juno riff, which is this. And this is just with an echo plugin. Got that classic dotted eighth delay, you know, give it some bounce. And here's the sound. It's done on, this is just all VSTs, but, you know, square wave, short, wide open. I added this because I was so insecure about this ending not being enough of a moment. So I added this right at the end. So. And it ended up getting turned up in the mix because I think it needed that. If I take this off right at the ending. It's cool, but I didn't feel confident about that. So that's my insecure synth. Next up are some acoustics played by Charlie Kilgore. He killed this. We added this right at the end because I thought the chorus wasn't bringing enough life. Something that can happen when you produce with all analog synths is that it can be hard. FM synths can fix this, but I haven't really found an amazing DX7 plugin for the DAW, and I was working mostly in the box here. But it's very hard to create rhythmic top end with analog synths. They're really good at washy mid-range, even punchy lows or punchy low mids, or upper mids can be good too, but it's very hard to recreate the sense of something like an acoustic guitar or a tambourine, you know, or a hi-hat, you know. I mean, those are drums, but exactly, like, you know, it's very hard to create that sensation. Even an electric guitar can sometimes get nice top end. And so I felt like the chorus, again, I was feeling insecure, wasn't hitting, so we tracked these acoustics. This was done like in this studio in Koreatown in LA. I think it's done on a Martin D28 or D18. Do you know which one of those? A really nice Martin guitar, which we borrowed from this amazing guitar tech, Breezy, recorded with an SM81 through, I think, just like some Behringer preamps. But it's really all about the guitar in the room, so it sounds like this. Nice part. And in the bridge, we get these beautiful kind of strums. Nice. And then it'll be most easily heard just, with the drums to start, and then I'll bring in everything else, drums and bass. But and if I take it away, it fills out that final part in the frequency spectrum that we're missing. Okay. Now we're on to all the amazing sounds that Emma made, and I guess we can go to a video of Emma walking you through her instruments and how she played them.
Here's what we're working with. We've got the Behringer Model D, which is the mini Moog that Julian's going to talk about in the video. This was one of the first projects that I used this on, and so it was a lot of play and experimentation to figure out what it could do, and then what from that I liked or felt served the song. So that was a new and exciting addition over here. And it's just the module, so to use this, you have to have a MIDI controller, and for that I used the Prophet 600, which is over here. This is one of the first synths, along with the Roland Jupiter 6, to have MIDI capabilities, which is awesome. That was 1983. So it's an awesome piece of gear, and this has the Glee Glee mod as well, so it's simply divine. And I make sounds on the Prophet as well as use it to control the Model D. The next instrument is the Omnichord, which is not heavily featured on Wellness, but is throughout the record, and so maybe when it's more relevant I can show you like how I play certain parts, and maybe that'll be interesting later. For analog effects or sort of pedals, I was using a drive pedal, reverb, chorus, and delay, and it's not a particularly fancy delay pedal, but this is what I used, and I think we got it for when I was playing guitar for a show, and it lives here, and it's exciting to use in the studio for me. So that's this, and then the Superstar, which is the Strymon Blue Sky reverb pedal. It has a shimmer knob or function, which creates wet, wide, dreamy sounds, and I would run all of these through those. Julian's going to talk about Fuzzwah and Valhalla later, and the reason that I like Fuzzwah is because for me it kind of imitates like a telephone vocal, or hearing something through a wall or underground, sort of underneath something, which I like the image of, either for vocal or instruments. And then Valhalla was one of just the first things that I learned to use, so I use it on almost everything. Yes, back to you.
That was amazing, Emma. Thank you. I'm going to walk through these tracks. Mostly what was played here was the Behringer Mini Moog. It's a bunch of Mini Moog parts, and then like a Prophet 600 part and one Omnichord part, but it's mostly Moog. So the first element we'll go to is this low lead. It'll be easiest to hear with bass and drums, and this happens only for a moment to really get that third chorus going as hard as possible. Super sick. Super sick. The next thing is this sonar blip. It'll be easy to hear this, I think, with just the click. And you can kind of hear, I'll play this with some of the other synths. This kind of is like a nice downbeat. Oh, not downbeat, coming into the one. I'll turn it up more. Kind of filling out a rhythm part that I hadn't done yet. And this is Valhalla. Emma programmed this Valhalla. It's on it's not on stock setting at all. We've got a decay of 16 seconds in the ambience mode with a mix of 32%. I don't know how she does it, but it's sick. The next part that is very prominent in the mix is this Mini Moog high melody. This has, okay, ambience again, this time a decay of 0.37 seconds and a higher mix, and a low cut at 270. Everything else I'm pretty sure is stock. Maybe the high cut isn't. Sounds like this. Little high cut. Very cool sound, and it becomes, in my opinion, kind of a signature like signaler of the song. Like when you and then it continues in the verse. Very like there's a first chorus in this song, but it's almost just to be there. If this were 1984, you know, the vocals wouldn't come in for 45 seconds and you'd have this jam and this high melody. So I basically arranged it as if there was no vocals, and then I plopped some vocals into the first chorus because it's 2025, you know. Is it 2025?
Almost.
Yeah, it's almost, because it's almost 2025.
Almost 20.
Yeah. So the next element that Emma did, another Mini Moog element, sounds like this. Really nice. It's kind of a nice filler. Not filler, but okay, this is in the concert hall setting. Decay of 10.39 seconds. No low cut. And a mix of 33.8%. Another interesting setting. And this works as kind of this is the end of the section, telling your ear time to move to a new section. If I play it with some of this stuff, it'll be easier to hear. So. Or right here. Really nice transition element. Here, let's hear what happens. So we get to the second verse, but we've heard the same thing twice, so there's a variation. So you hear it, but then your ear kind of might have tuned it out, but it tunes it back in. So the new note kind of keeps you engaged. What happens here? And then a simpler version of it there. Really cool programming, really good writing, really good sound design. The next thing is this kind of element. I call it like a turnaround, but I'm not sure it's exactly a turnaround. Again, okay, ambience, 16 seconds, Stock here, 32.7%. This sounds like this. I don't know much coming on YouTube, but the reverb programming and all this stuff is really, really top notch. So this stuff comes in. I put it in at the second half of the first pre.
Precious with her time, eats in regular amounts, goes to
I thought it kind of spiced up that second half and also had an interesting interplay with the vocals there, which I thought was super nice. It also comes in again at the top of the second verse.
They say, if you're willing to be, if you work your vessel long enough, you can have whatever you like, whatever you want, whatever.
Another beautiful overdub, kind of bringing a little bit of a spooky quality to this, because the song itself conceptually is it's not all positive. So I think it's interesting having elements that bring a spooky thing. The next, we got one more Moog element. This happens in the bridge. The reverb setting is ambient 16.7. Same setting as before, really nice setting. Sounds like this. Epic ending, yeah, because that goes right into the chorus. If you hear like, or going straight into the chorus, fucking epic, and really good use of on synths. You can have like mono legato or mono retrig. So if you're playing a Moog and you hold down a note and you play another note, it won't re-trigger the envelope. But if you let go and you play again, then it'll re-trigger the envelope. And that's how I'm just getting this sound here, where you get this big note, and then the notes are much more subtle, and then let go, hit it again, and you get a loud note, which works really well for coming in and out of focus. Like if you play it right here. So all the elements that should be low are low. All the elements that are high are high. Really nice. Next up, we're done with the Mini Moog, the best synth ever. And the Behringer's is quite a treat. I will say, I do recommend it. Is we got this Prophet 600 part. Only comes in the bridge of the song. We can hear it. I guess I fucked up the edit right there at the end. Let's see what happens if I extend it. Oh, there's more. You know, I went through some of these. You know, I combed through it, found the coolest parts. So this is just a classic Prophet 600 wizard style patch. I've panned these out so they kind of play with each other. And that's, you know, that's the great thing about working with Emma is that you'll get like 5 different elements that are the coolest thing you've ever heard, and you have to kind of pick what you want. I'm hearing some sort of use of an analog delay here or pedal because there's no delay here. Next up of the synths, last synth is an omnichord layer that comes in right at the top of the second verse, and it sounds like this. That is some advanced omnichord playing, I will say. It's like not just bring, like there's a lot more to it. And you can also hear that there's, I think, a timed analog delay because you hear in the tail a quarter note timed analog delay going with this playing. Super cool. And I think I probably added this. Yeah, the omnichord is kind of an impossible to tune instrument. The tuning, you have to use a screwdriver on the back, and it's very loose. So generally, for all omnichord, unless you're really lucky, doesn't matter how good you are, you got it just a little bit to get it in tune with the song. Well, that is all of the that's all of the synths. I can walk through the vocals. We can start with the chorus. Let's see if there's any. Great. So the chorus is a combination of these two layers. These two layers are from the original demo of the song.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted.
Cool sound. Probably, it feel like it didn't really get to the level of intensity we were looking for the chorus. So there's a layer of chest vocals.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted.
Really cool. This gives us the cut, but maybe then we've lost a little bit of the nice smoothness that was in the original demo. So we have a layer of head vocals.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted.
So together, got this.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted.
But I felt listening to this that we had lost the soul of the original because I'd produced most of the track over the original vocals. So we tried to layer in some of these demo vocals.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted.
And that for me was a moment where all the vocals kind of came into focus, where it was like, that sounds like something we can use actually.
Wanted it back, come back, wanted.
So right here at the top, it incorporates the fact that this is our opening phrase, and then we go in and we accent.
Wanted it back, wanted her to come back, miss what you had, wanted. Wanted it back, wanted her so.
Accentuating certain things, making the form feel more clear so it's not just this endless stream of vocals, which can be confusing. Then we got the verse, just normal stuff.
Wanted it back, some feeling of a holding of a girl pre-collapse. She wants it. So the girl that is standing's not like the one they know, the one that they know. She's not worried anymore. She's too precious with her time. Eats in regu.
Oh, system overload, but that's okay. Melodyning only because listeners kind of can't deal with an unmelodined vocal, even if it's perfectly in tune. People have a hard time with that because everything is so hardly tuned nowadays. Not complaining, but on a certain level you have to compete. Okay, then we got second verse.
They say if you will it to be, if you work your vessel long enough. You can have whatever you like, whatever you want, whatever you had, and so she got it back.
Really cool harmonies here. So one kind of key element here is these vocals with the fuzz wah. Emma did this. Emma's a big fan of the fuzz wah. It's a really I don't really understand how to use this plugin, and it's not in a preset. So I'm sure maybe Emma can explain how to use the fuzz wah, but makes it sound like this.
If you work your vessel long enough.
Which I think kind of puts it into this. A lot of this song is kind of like wanting to improve yourself. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your wellness. But it kind of, this kind of really transmits like it's almost like an advertisement, you know, that like it's like for $19.99 you can get her back, you know, you can be your old self again, you know, and I think that's inherent in the song, but then that one fuzzwah trick just kind of immediately adds to the meaning of the song so much, you know, which is kind of crazy when you have one plugin that, you know, like that opens the whole thing up and makes it so clear to me. But I think that's just such a great lo-fi effect because not only does the VHS ness of it contextualize the production and the 80s-ness of the song, but it also contextualizes the kind of consumerized wellness that we all consume every day, like wellness with a capital W. So I think that's really cool. Then what's going on here? We got...
She read all of the books, or she started them, so much longer than she thought they'd be. She wrote all of the hooks, or she started them. Oh, she tried, oh, she tried, oh, she...
And I like how this goes over the one a little bit. You know, makes it feel like we're not as constrained because that bridge is just so self-indulgent that why not push it the one extra thing? I can show you what I mean.
Tried, oh, she tried, oh, she...
The oh, she goes into the first line of the chorus. Then we got this backup. I can play it with the hook. This happens right at the top of the second or third chorus, I guess.
Wanted it back, you know she tried her to come back. That's what you had, wanted, and you can try to. Wanted it back, wanted her so bad. Of wellness, we're on a journey of wellness.
We got this woo. That has sound shifter. I thought it was a little sharp. No offense, Emma. And then we got this echo. I like this plugin. It's not the coolest echo, but in a pinch, it'll get you where you need to go. Then we go back to the pre and the outro. Then we have some vocals that I did, extremely stacked up. Let's see. So where are they? There's some stuff in the, it's basically this, extremely layered. So we got this stuff in the pre that goes like this.
Ooh. 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 Ooh.
You know, following the chord structures. And it's important. I tried melodyning these and I didn't like it because something about when you do these big stacks, if you tune them all, it kind of gets rid of the point of doing big stacks. If you're going to, you know, take each voice and do it 4 times, you're doing it so it has that chorus effect. And so I suggest either don't tune your big stacks or tune them all differently, you know, or else it's going to feel small. And you did it to feel big, not to feel small. If that's any help. And then I think that's it, actually. That's every track. Aiden, do you have any questions or? things you want to hear?
You like the CS80 a lot.
Oh yeah, I do. I like. Well, actually, I liked that plugin for this. It's nice and warm.
Did you audition? Or
No. So basically, I was
that what is it? The saw.
Yeah.
That's kind of the main element for me.
Yeah. So basically, when I first got the plugin, I was just making my own presets to mess around. So I made a preset and I called it Sawbrass. And another preset that I made when I was just messing around with it initially, what did I call it? I called it the Woolly Empire because I thought it sounded like Empire of the Sun, but a little more woolly. Then I also made this sound, which I called Mellow Pluck. And if I go to the left, let's see, how many? Oh, that's gonna be too hard to figure out. But, or maybe if I go to the CS80. I've made like this many presets, not a lot, but I made this many presets when I first got it, just to see if I could make some sounds. And so when I was working on the song, I like had soloed the bass and the drums and vocals, and I was like, what else can I do? So I pulled up the CS80 and I laid down the Sawbrass. I was like, that's cool. Let me just get another preset. And then I added the pad, and I was like, let me just get another preset, and I added the pluck, and then that was that, basically. And originally the bass was synth bass was part of the brass. So this stuff and this stuff and where's the this is basically what came together in like 5 minutes. I'll turn this up. So that's kind of what I had. And then from there, I was like, oh, this is great. I love that, even though it's so early stages. So then the rest of it was basically like, how do you take that and finish it, like expand on that idea? Because there's no more CS80 I added. The only other synths I added after that were this Prophet line and that Juno riff, and Emma added everything else, and Charlie added acoustics and bass. Like, I didn't really add much. I added more drums, but it was kind of like, how do we finish this from there? Anything else?
No. Sounds great.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. This time I will be around in the comments if you have questions, but also DM us. Cool. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this illuminated anything in anybody's minds. Peace.